Hi everyone. Today I was looking at some of my older videos on my other channel that I had there before I started this channel, and it was talking about Etsy and how to get more sales on Etsy by looking at something that most people probably don't look at. And I think it is so relevant, I'm going to be replaying it here. So this is a re-edit of that video. It's a little updated. I might come in and add some comments, but let's just watch it because you need to see this if you want to make more sales on Etsy. Today I'm going to be talking about selling in slow times and when the economy isn't the greatest, like it isn't right now with inflation is getting higher and the whole thing. And whether looking at it as needs versus wants is really the best way to go about it. And I really don't think that it is. There's a kind of a middle ground in there. And that's really where we should be targeting as handmade artists who are selling our work. So the basic idea is that when money is tight and people are spending more on the things that they need and they don't have the discretionary spending, it's going to affect us because people aren't going to be buying things that they want as much. And if that's all that we're selling, then we're kind of out of luck. So one way to market your products at this point, and this all just kind of comes down to marketing, is to kind of position your products as an affordable option for things that they need. Where we're talking about kind of a commodity product, you might be able to think of reasons why people should buy your products right now. You might not have to create a new product line, but just think of things that people could use your products for, how it's going to save them money. Think of more utilitarian arguments basically that you put in your description and really describe your item in terms of the usefulness and the economy, that they're actually going to save money in the long run. Just anything you can go in that direction. Now, if your product is definitely a want, like jewelry, people don't need jewelry per se, but it's something that they would like to have. And it might not be something that they're buying as much if the economy is slow. But the secret to this is that when the economy is slow, it doesn't mean that everybody has no spending money. The media will tell you that, and the message it gets repeated over and over until that's what people really believe. But honest to God, when the recession of 2008 hit, there were plenty of people still spending money. It just wasn't done in a loud way because people didn't feel right spending money when the media was saying everybody was broke. So the wants are things that people want, and they might not be as quick to buy them when the economy is slow because they're reluctant to do that, but it doesn't mean that they can't. So the most basic, simple way to look at this is, do you sell a need or a want? And pretty much everything that we're selling in our shops are wants, let's be honest. And you can tailor your marketing that way, like, you need this, it's going to save you money in the long run, blah, blah, blah. Or you really want this and it's worth the money, blah, blah, blah. But there is a middle ground, and I think that that's where the economists kind of drop the ball, because economists talk about needs and wants, but there is that middle ground, and that's where the marketers go. And I think that this is a pretty obvious category, but it's not something that people focus on as much because it's not as logical. So this is a category that is things that you really want. You can afford it, but you don't feel like you should spend for that, but you're going to justify to yourself why you should, and you're going to buy it anyway. And this is how a lot of buying happens, even in good economic times. It's like, you don't really need that thing, but you really want it. And so you think of a few ways that you do need it just because you want to justify feeling good about spending the money for it. Now, I don't know how many of you have kids or you have friends who have kids and you've seen this in action, but an excellent example of this justified want is cute baby clothes. Do you know how easy it is to justify to yourself why you need to buy that cute little baby outfit? And the actual fact is that most babies do not need that many cute baby outfits, but it's a cute baby outfit and we're going to buy it. So we justify buying it and we say, the baby really needs it. It's not for me, it's for the baby. And the baby needs this outfit. And so even though we didn't have to spend that money, we do because we've justified it in our own minds. And it's become a need and not a want just because of what we're telling ourselves about it. So this third category of things lies between the needs and the wants. And I've been calling it the rationalized want, for lack of a better term. And I did go and do some research before this to see if there is an economics term for it, and I didn't really find anything. If you really think about it, there's a lot of marketing that goes into making things a rationalized want, and that's why a lot of people buy stuff to begin with. And the fact that people do this is really good for us as marketers, because that's what we are. If you're selling your own products, whether you like it or not, you're a marketer. It's really good because people tend to be willing to rationalize their purchases if we give them enough reasons for it,
or we give them enough features of the product and it makes them feel good about spending the money that they have to spend, even though they feel like maybe they don't need to spend it. So think of the needs and wants and whether you can fit into those two categories. But if you really just sell things that are a little bit nicer, they're not particularly luxury items, but they're handmade and they're wants, you're probably going to have to go with the marketing message of why do you deserve this for yourself. If you describe the benefits of something and why someone will benefit from buying it, then that's the kind of thing that can make someone feel like they're justified in purchasing it. And that's going to make them spend a little bit more for something that they want, and they're going to feel good about doing it. And that's the kind of thing that you need to start working into your marketing. And in this case, on Etsy or in your e-commerce shop, it's going to be photos, titles, and descriptions, but mainly the descriptions. The descriptions are not used for Etsy SEO, but they're used to sell to the customer. And that's a selling section in your shop, and you need to pay attention to that. And it doesn't have to be slimy or sneaky or tricky and try to trick people into buying. It can be just as simple as telling people why buying your product is going to benefit them and give them that reason that they can then feel comfortable saying, yeah, I deserve to buy this because it's going to make my life easier. For my products, I sell cake decorations, and you wouldn't think that that makes people's lives easier. But if you're trying to save money, and you're making your kid's birthday cake, but you still want to have a nice cake that all your friends are going to be jealous of, and that's basically what happens, you might want to get the decorations from me, and then you can upscale your cake very easily. And so my descriptions talk about how easy things are to use. I have lots of videos on my YouTube channel about how to use the products. So I make it very obvious to the customer that this is something that they can do and it's going to make their life better and they should go ahead and buy it. This is the kind of thing that you just need to get good at, telling people the benefits of a product and let them justify for themselves. Once you give them all the benefits, you have to let them rationalize it and justify for themselves why it's a good idea to buy your product as opposed to trying to DIY it or just going without. So go work on your copywriting, work on your descriptions, work on your titles, rationalize those sales. Watch this video next, and I will talk to you later.